And I would give this advice to coaches: stop caring what everybody else thinks so much. I'm the damn expert in the room. Not that I'm right all the time, but it's like, it's your program. The best thing I ever did is wholeheartedly over COVID. And I had the first time in my career, it's like we all could take a deep breath. We just never could. And COVID, we were all forced to take this deep breath. And I made some bold decisions, I said. And one of them, and probably the most important one, is I wasn't going to just say it. I wasn't going to kind of do it. I was all in. I'm not giving a damn. Again, not in this reckless, stupid way, but I wasn't going to give a damn what anybody else thought. We were going to do it our way. And it is different now. We play faster than anybody in the world. You know, we just do football different. We practice probably less than anybody in America. But anyway, it's my advice to people. Don't listen to everybody all the time. Do it your way.
Welcome to Inside the Headset, presented by CoachComm. Each episode pulls back the curtain on the coaching profession, spotlighting voices from every level of the game and offering lessons and insights for your own path. But first, a word from CoachComm.
When the game's on the line, your play call can mean the difference between winning and losing. Don't let poor communication cost you the game. For 35 years, CoachComm has been the trusted leader in coaching communication, delivering solutions with unmatched sound quality, performance, and durability. That's why thousands of coaches in high schools across the country trust CoachComm. You put in the hours to prepare. Make sure your communication delivers when it counts. CoachComm, giving coaches the ultimate competitive edge. Visit CoachComm.com to learn more.
Follow Inside the Headset on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and leave a review. It really helps others discover the show. We drop new episodes each week, so hit that follow button and never miss a moment. Now, let's get inside the headset.
Coach Walker, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's awesome to be on here.
Yeah, and likewise, it's awesome to be able to sit down with a national championship winner there at River Falls this past year. I mean, as I've kind of dove into the story, is just exciting. I mean, your story alone, let alone what you've been able to accomplish at that program with your staff and your players there. So typically we start every podcast off kind of the same. We ask the question, when did you know you want to be a part of this great profession? So I'm going to ask that to you and let you get us rolling.
Sure. I went to DePaul University in Indiana, played 3 sports in high school, actually played football and baseball both in college. I went there to go to dental school. I had a dental family, going to kind of follow in the footsteps. But boy, it didn't take me long after being in school and seeing, I was obviously passionate about it growing up, but then to see and be a part of college sports, I knew pretty quick. I didn't know if I could be happy with a life outside of college athletics. I loved it so much. I loved playing both, but I did continue the dental school thing. But then I became a pretty mediocre football player. I was not a great player. I was really had a better baseball run and kind of had some delusions of, maybe I call them delusions instead of dreams, of playing beyond. I thought I could maybe play. So it really became my focus secretly than more than dental school. And, then I didn't make it. So I graduated, tried to make it, didn't make it. Wasn't going to work. And was so blessed. Ed Meyer was the head baseball coach of DePaul for over 35 seasons. He was the head baseball assistant football the entire 35 years he was there. Then I played for him, and then he asked me to stay on with him as an assistant baseball coach. So I really started my career as an assistant baseball coach, and it was just perfect for me. Again, I decided I wasn't going to dental school. I wasn't going to become Roger Clemens or anything. And so, right place, right time. Then he developed some health problems and retired almost right away. And really in the middle of my first year, I'm 22, 23, never coached a game in my life. I take over as the interim head baseball coach, and I was blessed the school let me do that. I played with some of those seniors for 3 years,
right.
It was wild. And then the next year they took off the interim tag. He officially retired. And then I just fell into his role as an assistant football head baseball coach. Nick Morozes, who's a legendary coach. He was a big AFCA guy back in the day, awesome guy. But I quarterbacked for him. He was kind of a father-like guy to me. And so it was an easy transition to help him in football as well. So I just fell into that role, became the baseball guy. But people closest to me knew I got really passionate about coaching the football thing pretty quick. I could see it being my long-term future. Although at the time I didn't really care, not in a reckless, bad way. I was young and stupid and cocky and was head baseball coach, and just hell, they were paying me nickels back then. I didn't care. I was ahead of schedule by like 10 years.
No doubt.
So, that's how it all got started. It was wild.
Well, I definitely have a couple follow-up questions on that. And the first one is, hopefully can be helpful to young coaches that are trying to figure out, if they really want to do this thing. And, I think one of the more interesting things is I've been able to sit in seat and ask a lot of coaches questions is, we've had math majors, guys that went in to be doctors, guys that went in to be, coaches, guys that, show up to college to be everything under the sun. But you say you come from a family of dentists, and, oftentimes as we're navigating this thing and we're telling our parents, I remember telling them my first job, I'm like, hey, I'm leaving my teaching job that's making $60K, my high school teaching job to go get this job. It's going to pay me $10K a year. And it took them some time to understand kind of, the passion that you have to kind of get into a profession. Like, what was that dialogue like when you're sitting at a family of dentists saying, hey, look, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to make, and this is how I'm going to live? Like, how did that conversation go, kind of breaking away from what the family was doing?
I was blessed. It was so easy. They knew I had such a passion for athletic sports and wanted to do that. And so it was super supportive. But you're right. Like I tell people all the time, only football coaches would do what we do and go get paid nothing sometimes to start in their career. We're idiots. Even other sports don't do what we do as football guys. And I can say that I've coached other sports in college and obviously around it all the time. We're idiots as football coaches, but you're right. There's a passion there that's hard to explain to people. That it's funny, like, Stu, everyone has their crazy story when they didn't make any money and they were working at the dining hall or working nights, or everyone's got the fun story, or mopping the floor at the dining hall after, or whatever. We all have that story, but it's kind of cool. It's a unique thing to our profession for sure.
No doubt. Well, the second follow-up I had is, this is, kind of playing and then having an opportunity to graduate assist or maybe even get a full-time position relatively quick is not a phenom on the podcast by any means. We definitely have a fair share of coaches that go through that. And, I will say it's probably the first time that a guy is in a different sport and a head coach immediately. And so the question still applies, like, how did you kind of put that line in the sand as you're the interim head coach with guys that you've been, I don't know about your background, but I assume staying up late playing video games at best, and on maybe some worse nights than that. How did you put that line in the sand?
Yeah, for sure. It's like to sit here and say I hadn't drank some beers with those guys that I'm now coaching is a lie, right? Like,
absolutely.
I think it's the same thing I do now. 48 years old, haven't been a head coach now in multiple sports for 20 plus years. It's the same thing. I was always just super honest. I didn't know any way to be a coach back then. I didn't know what the coaching manual was. I spent, a week around coaching, behind the scenes, that not being I didn't really know anything else. So it was full honesty. Like that first meeting with those guys, it's like what you just said. Hey, I've drank too many beers with a whole bunch of you. I was playing with you just last year, but we got to draw a line here. It's got to work. But we just laid it out and had the awkward talk. And I think just being honest about it, I was so blessed. That first DePaul baseball team, the way they handled it was amazing for me and made it work. And I think what helped is I was kind of probably the leader of that team.
Yeah.
One of the main leaders of that team. The year before and even before that. I was lucky to have a pretty fun career there. So guys respected me, I think, and it made it easier. But yeah, we just had to be honest and say we have to draw this line. I had no problems. The parents were super supportive. I worried about that piece a little bit, but
yeah,
it went super smooth.
Now, obviously, this kind of same deal is happening on the football side, and so I'm assuming some of the same conversations happen. So I kind of move forward to the next question, and we oftentimes, you're talking about those stories that we all have from those early years. And, one of those stories I feel like we all share was like, man, I was the running backs coach. I lined the fields. I did the laundry. I was over the weight room on Thursdays, whatever it was typically, especially if you're at a divisional school, you have a lot of duties. you're the head ball coach and you're ordering baseballs and, managing who's lining the fields there. And then all of a sudden you have, I can only imagine kind of some similar duties on the football side. Like just as a young guy in the profession, I think generally a lot of us struggle with time management early on, just figuring out how we're going to do all this stuff. Now you're doing it in 2 sports almost all year and recruiting on both sides while you're in season, which is actually kind of crazy to think about. So yeah, just how did you mature fast enough to be able to handle the workload?
Again, I didn't really know any different. I wanted to work. I was getting so passionate about it. I was willing to do anything. I tell our young coaches here, like, the way to progress in this profession is, like, be available as much as you can. It's like, I don't want you to not spend time with your family and do it, but, like, your presence is a big deal. I learned the most sitting around and listening to these older coaches talking and game planning before I even knew what the hell I was doing. It's how I learned. And I was always available and willing to jump in and help wherever it was needed. I was blessed that Paul supported me and gave me an assistant in baseball, and Coach Morozes was so supportive of me doing both sports at that time. And so I was lucky that I had that. But you're right. I mean, I'm freaking doing in baseball back then, we did our own laundry. Baseball's weird too because of your field. You don't want anyone to touch your field, right? Like, you're a weirdo about it. It's like you're lining your field, you're raking your field, you're mowing your field. You do. So it was I didn't sleep much back then. I don't sleep much now. I didn't sleep any back then. It helped to not have any kids back then, and my wife and I were just together there. But man, oh man. But boy, I look back at those years and that was the most fun, man. It was so much fun. And back then recruiting was different too. Everything happened at night. You're waiting for the day to get over so you get back and make some calls, and you're calling the home phone and you're talking to mom and dad. Now, shit, you're sitting here, you're on Twitter all day and, hoping no one catches you texting them during class and stuff.
Right.
You're working on time zones to make sure they're out of class, but it's so different now. Back then you were busting your ass because you had to get done with everything.
Right.
Then you go make calls till 11 o'clock while you were finishing up the West. It was just, but I remember sitting in there in those nights with the football guys, and I'm making baseball calls, they're making football calls, and then they'd run over and say, "Hey, can you call this kid in football?" And it was a wild time back then. You were in the office a lot more at night, probably in the off season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, it's to do 2 sports and then have that type of lifestyle where you're working all day and then calling all night. That's incredible. Now, one of the things I recall, and I'm sure you kind of had this epiphany as well, is especially you playing quarterback, you knew a lot. You knew what the offensive line was doing. You knew the receivers were doing, backs were doing, and stuff on offense. And then you step in this college world and you're breaking down film and you realize you don't know, you don't know a whole heck of a lot in the grand scheme of things. And sometimes it can be intimidating a little bit when you're breaking down film and trying to understand coverage and fronts and shades and twists and all this kind of stuff. You've been a head ball coach in baseball on this side, and then over here you're growing, you're developing, which still in baseball I'm sure as well, but you're growing and develop as a football coach. What were those years like for you to be able to be handling so much as an offensive assistant there from 2005?
Breaking down film is the best way to learn football. I swear to God, it's just the best way. We all should have to do it. Yeah. The other thing I would, I'm not getting off your question, the other thing I would suggest is I would try to have to coach up front at some point. You just learn football by having to know what the offensive defensive line are doing, especially on the offensive side. It was something I never did. I never coached up front. And I continue to learn so much because it's such a different world. I was always the skill guy, but man, football's going up front. You really learn football by learning on what's going up front. But back to the question again, it was just wild doing all the. I remember Jeff Phelps, who's now the head coach at Ohio University, or the defensive line coach at Ohio University. And JP's been all over the place, and he's an incredible football coach. But I can remember. He was a young coach, I'm a young coach, and we're breaking down film together at night and maybe sneaking in a couple beverages while we're doing it and having it was just what you did back then. You stayed in late. Right. You didn't have huddle assist to like spit you out half the information. Now these young coaches, boy, I tell them all the time, they're awfully lucky. They get half the info and It's just done for them. you had to sit there and like with a pencil and make marks and tallies and to get all those. But boy, did we learn the game back then. I really did. But so much work at night back then because again, they're waiting for me. I'm doing a lot of baseball stuff during the day. So, we did a lot of our breakdowns at night when I was doing baseball stuff. But yeah, I really believe I learned football by being forced to break film down. I really do.
That's awesome. Now, 2006, probably one of the more unique things here. You get named the head football coach while maintaining that position as the head baseball coach, and you go on to do this for 3 years. First and foremost, what was it like to had an honor to be named the head ball coach at your alma mater? And I guess you played baseball there, so you already kind of had that flavor. But I mean, you're doing something that I would imagine not too many coaches have done, to be able to be a head coach in 2 sports at the collegiate level. What honor was that like at your alma mater?
Incredible. When Bill Lynch had taken over at the time, Bill's another great legendary coach in our profession, and because Coach Morozes had retired, and it was a great thing to get to coach under Bill. Again, I had only been under one guy, and Nick was the best, but it was good for me to learn under Bill for years, and then Bill went on to Indiana from there. But when he left, I knew it's something I was interested in. I was kind of hoping the school would come to me about it. I really worked hard at the football part, and so when they came to me, I knew it's what I wanted to do. It wasn't right away that we decided I'd keep both. We kind of had to talk that out a little bit, but I said I was willing to take on that challenge. And again, I had a full-time assistant in baseball, which not everybody does in the Division III level. And then we were really blessed with a good chunk of full-time guys in football. So I felt like I had the support there to be able to be successful, as unique as it was. I'm not sure you could do it now. Back then, we were barely into spring football stuff back then.
Oh, yeah.
Again, recruiting was mostly happening still after the fall season was over. The majority of it, it's all changed now. The calendars have moved up. The spring football's become more important and different. I don't know if I could have done it in today's world, but we just made it work, and we went on a hell of a run, boy, in both sports. We had an incredible run in baseball. We had an awesome, I think we were 22-8 in the 3 years in football. And then it was like, well, I'm going to go be Nick Saban. That's kind of what became, I was like, this is easy. And so I went to Butler to be an assistant to kind of make that jump there. And what a fun year that was. Jeff Boris was the head coach there at Butler. He was my quarterback coach when I played at DePaul, was a DePaul guy.
Wow.
And Brad Stevens, the boss who runs the Boston Celtics. Brad was the head basketball coach at Butler at that time. Brad's my college roommate from DePaul, so he's at Butler. Joe Cheshire, who's still at Butler as a defense coach, had just started there, so he's there. He's my other best buddy from college. So I had all these connections there and didn't have to move. It was 40 minutes away. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go do this and take the next step and start to climb and go be Urban Meyer and the best coach the world's ever seen. And it was great. That year, I'm getting off track here, but that year, Butler goes to the national championship game in basketball against Duke. That's when Gordon Hayward lived one out. It is hosted in Indianapolis. We're the host school. What an amazing year to be at Butler at the time. But and again, so I enjoyed it, but I pretty quickly learned it wasn't what I wanted to do. I missed being a head coach way more than I thought. Mm-hmm. I'm passionate about our level. I just really am. I'm not trashing other levels, but I just have a passion that I can't explain about Division III football, and I wanted back in a hurry. The Wisconsin League's the best league in the country. I believe that with my heart, and I'm not being disrespectful to anybody else, but I wanted in this league so bad, and kind of became my vision. And about that time, this job opened. So it all just worked. It all happened for a reason, and I'm so blessed that it all worked out this way.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, obviously you've had the opportunity to be around some amazing guys. I'm a huge NBA guy, so you said Brad Stevens. I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah. They've been college roommates with him. I didn't know that part of it. Now, just real quick before we kind of ask a few more questions on Butler and kind of get past the DePaul stop. You had this unique opportunity to be a head coach of both sports. Like, was there any crossover lessons or culture things or epiphanies that you had in regards to something that you learned that helped you be a better football coach on the baseball side or vice versa?
I think for sure. I think it was two different atmospheres. I always used to say in all spring in baseball, I was getting guys to try to calm down and relax and take a breath. And then you spend all fall getting guys fired up and ready to whoop ass and go crazy. It was kind of this. So I think I became a better baseball coach with the foot. There's an intensity about your competition because you're only playing once a week, right? Like it's easy in a sport like baseball where you're playing every other day, I think, to kind of cruise through and float a little bit. And I really tried to use the football mindset of one game at a time. Again, it sounds easy and cliche, but
no, not at all, to be honest.
There's really, I became better at making the competition piece, I think, not more important, but a more intense feel to those baseball competitions. And I think vice versa in football, my baseball side probably taught me how to be a little more of a psychologist. There's so much negative in baseball, right? You fail so much that you really are a counselor to kids as a college baseball coach. You're learning, you're helping kids learn how to fail and deal with failure all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it helped me become a more compassionate coach and probably better at dealing with the negative in football because you deal with it so much in baseball. So long-winded answer, I do think there was crossover that helped me in both.
No, that was actually a really good answer because my wheels are sitting here spinning. As mentioned, unfortunately I'm not a huge baseball fan, but obviously the schedule of football and basketball are similar in regards. So you're playing 50 plus games. I think in major leagues you're playing 100 plus games.
62 games. Yeah.
And so you lose a game on Tuesday and you see the guys high-fiving the other teams and joking and stuff afterwards. I'm like, and I would watch these basketball games and be like, man, after I lost a football game, I'm ready to choke somebody, and that's interesting. You were able to kind of take that perspective of like the seriousness of each game and put the importance there, because that is one thing that you always wonder when you watch these other sports, how they can take the losing.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so you talked about taking that butler job and trying to move your career more towards a bigger level, I guess, at that time. But obviously at that level, I spent some time in the Pioneer, right? Whether in the Pioneer at that point in time, I spent a little time at Davidson College, and highly competitive non-scholarship. So you still have some similarities there, but very competitive, all that kind of stuff. What role were you in, and how did you take a backseat after kind of been in charge since 2000 of something always?
Yeah, I coached tight ends. I was an offensive assistant, and that the opening was for tight ends, and I was happy to take it. Again, I just wanted to make that jump. As bad, I don't know if that sounds bad or negative, but so I was willing to kind of do whatever, and I don't, at that point I matured enough to not have the ego. I think it was good for me to go learn. I mean, even though I played for Coach Loris as a player, it was good to be under another guy as a head coach. Yeah. I learned a lot more, and then an entirely new staff, right? So even when Coach Morozes retired and Bill came, and then I became head coach, it was still a lot of the same guys. This was a whole new crew of people, so I learned a whole new perspectives from guys. I think it was great for me. Nick Tobacco was there as a young O-line coach. He's now the O-line coach at Michigan State. He was at Wake Forest. So he was there as a young coach. I learned, I'm way older than him, but I learned a lot from him and new perspectives from him. So I think it was a really good move for me. It was looking back, it was probably an interesting one where people would scratch their heads, but it was probably a really good move for me. It probably gave clarity to me exactly what I wanted to do. I might have never left the fall, and that would have been fine. Mm-hmm. But like there's just something that I was supposed to be here. I was supposed to be in River Falls. My family was supposed to be here. I wholeheartedly believe it. I'm not gonna get into this faith talk, but like there's a higher power. I truly believe that I was supposed to be here doing this right now, and I don't know if it would have ever happened if I hadn't gone to Butler. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm blessed that it all worked out that way.
No doubt. Now, I think you hit a point I didn't even really think about. Obviously, even you got to rewind back to your plan days. I mean, you've kind of been wearing that same logo there at DePaul and to break away. Whenever you have that opportunity to go get around some other guys, were you able to say, this is how I wanted, this is a place that I can institute something in kind of my structure that I've been knowing for the last 15 or so years? this is something I don't want to do, or, maybe we weren't doing this right here. Like, how were you able to kind of put together your plan to help make you a better, sharper head football coach when you got the River Falls job?
My program is a full mixture of Ed Myers baseball and my high school football and my high school baseball and Coach Moreau. It is, I got a lot of Bill Lynch's stuff in me. I have a lot of stuff admittedly where when I was a player, even though I love the man like my own dad, when I'd be like, what the hell are we doing? Like, a small example, we'd wear helmets on Friday during walkthrough. Why? I hated it. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I didn't do it anymore. We don't wear helmets in walkthrough because I thought it was stupid. We wore full baseball uniform in our gym practices when we were stuck inside. I used to remember the player like, what the hell am I in baseball pants for? In the gym,
right. We're
not sliding. I didn't do it anymore. We wore shorts and t-shirts when we practiced. So, again, those are small, minute details, but I'm a mushed up version of all the things I loved and believe in strongly from all those coaches that I learned from. Things I loved as a player, things I hated as a player. But we've created our own little thing here based off all those experiences I
had. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that you said that, because I do think it's easy when you're in a type of program where you were able to be around your predecessor. I said that right. The guy ahead of you, he walks out, and the expectation might be a little bit for you to kind of keep it going as it's been going, but for you to be able to come and put your own flavor on that. And a lot of times I talk to these coaches that get jobs like that, and they say the biggest mistake I made was try to be blank coach 2.0 rather than put my own thing. And would you agree with that? It's important to put your own flavor on things.
For sure. I think one of the most important things I did, I was doing it a little bit when I first became head coach, but I especially started doing it after COVID. And I would give this advice to coaches: stop caring what everybody else thinks so much. I'm the damn expert in the room. Not that I'm right all the time, but it's like, it's your program. The best thing I ever did is wholeheartedly over COVID. When I had the first time in my career, it's like we all could take a deep breath. You just never could. And COVID, we were all forced to take this deep breath. And I made some bold decisions, I said. And one of them, and probably the most important one, is I wasn't going to just say it. I wasn't going to kind of do it. I was all in. I'm not giving a damn. Again, not in this reckless, stupid way, but I wasn't going to give a damn what anybody else thought. We were going to do it our way. And it is different now. We play faster than anybody in the world. We just do football different. We practice probably less than anybody in America. But anyway, it's my advice to people. Don't listen to everybody all the time. Do it your way. And we've been lucky that it's worked.
Well, we do these sound bites for the podcast, and it's like I guess the teaser for you to click it, and like I'm sitting here listening, like, that's the teaser right there. What you just said. I mean, that is absolutely fire, man. I mean, I think that's huge. And I just remember being a former player under one of my head coaches. I played at 2 different schools in college, and if it was 4th down, we punted it. If it was 4th and an inch, we punted it. And I don't want to be the player that was complaining about this stuff, because I didn't really look at it until I got into coaching. If it was 4th and inches, we packed everybody in the box, and we on goal line, we're trying to get in the quarterback sneak in. We did it the way that it was supposed to be done. And then as I got out and I started getting around other people, I really saw the value of saying, man, we can do this our way. It's our program. And in many ways, it's kind of what you're saying, but as the head coach, to be able to say that. And I think the most important part, and the way I heard it, was, I'm not going to halfway do it. I'm not going to just say, hey, I'm going to change. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And I think that's huge.
That's part of it. Again, it's like we were dabbling in the tempo stuff. The offensive tempo gets all our attention in our program. Yeah. We were dabbling in it, but that was part of the decision too, is I'm done dabbling. We're going to go. The goal became, let's be the fastest team in the world that's ever snapped the football. I don't know if you said this because of this, but you should have played for me. 4th downs, we rarely punt. We go for almost every 4th down. We've led the country in 4th down opportunities almost every year since COVID. Again, just some super bold decisions that we made, and it's worked for us. And I'm not, you got to have great players, you got to have great coaches, and all the other stuff. But I think that our gamble has paid off at doing it our way. That's not everybody's brand of football, for sure.
Absolutely. Now, yeah, man, this is awesome. we'll get into your transition to UW River Falls here in a second, but because I do want to kind of stay on this topic a little bit. You talk about the gamble, and then you go and look. I was telling you, I was scrolling Twitter kind of prior to this, just looking at the statistics kind of you guys offensively put together this year, and they are dang near 600 yards a game, 93 plays per game. I mean, this isn't lip service. You guys are out there operating at a high level, but you're taking these gambles, and they don't always work, because that's exactly what it is. How often did you look, you do something, you say, God dang, that it didn't work out in our favor. It maybe wasn't smart per the analytical books that they're selling everybody. Like, how do you get rid of, I don't know, I guess some of those feelings, I guess.
Honesty with your team, conviction on what you're doing. I tell the team all the time, we have, let's say we have a fake punt in or a fake field goal, or I tell the team all the time, listen, not going to be scared to pull up the fake. Does anybody care if I don't get it? Anybody care? No, we don't care. We don't give a shit. No one. Can I cuss on here? Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I like it.
Hell, I'll take the national championship game, for example. I've said this. If you've heard some of these interviews, that you've heard me say this. I told our team word for word, I'm not paraphrasing, I said, we might get beat 100-0, or we might win this football game. But we're not going to do what everybody else does against North Central, and that is lose the game before we play the game because of the logo on helmet. Everybody gets super conservative. Nobody wants to be aggressive against them. They're nervous about what the backfire might be because they're so powerful themselves. And I'm like, we're not going to do that. We're going to be I called it unapologetically aggressive. We're going to go for it because we didn't even convert. We went for, I think we were 0 for 4 on fourth down against them. We didn't even convert. And I have so much respect for Brad Spencer and that team. They're the best, man. To go to 6 straight national championships, that's unheard of. But like, I don't feel wrong saying I think they felt uncomfortable just because of the way we were playing. Even when we weren't converting on some of those fourth downs, us demonstrating that we were not going to back down and we were going to play a brand and a game they never play, because I think most teams are pretty conservative against them because of how good they are. I'm like, it's not what we're going to do. Again, it can backfire. I told the team that. I'm okay telling the team that. Like, it's the wrong team to have a bad day against, and you take these gambles and it doesn't work. They could have run us out of the park. But our team has so much conviction in the way we play. We talk about, again, all the time about it's okay if we don't get it on fourth down. It's like the baseball thing. I used to be so over aggressive stealing bases, and the most important thing with a baseball program with that kind of philosophy was you got to be okay getting thrown out. We're taught our whole lives like, oh, quit leaning, don't get picked off. And like, I had to meet with the dads of my baseball team, literally meet with the dads and say, because you know how it is. I'm like, we're going to get picked off. Your son's going to get picked. If you're not leaning and being aggressive, you can't steal bases. You're going to get thrown out. I'm going to run us out of big innings. There's going to be games we lose because of it. But in the long run, I believe in this. Same thing with this aggressive style and tempo style. In the long run, it's going to pay dividends. My dad ripped my butt half the time about being aggressive and what the hell are you doing? Punt the damn ball, kick the damn field goal. And it's like, Dad, dude, trust me, I got this. Yeah, everyone's quieted it up now that we won the national championship.
That's right. That's right. So let's rewind, because I'm still intrigued with this. So I kind of want to see, when some of this thought process kind of developed there at River Falls. But so in 2011, you take the job. Now, I told you I was scrolling through Twitter a little bit prior to our call, and I didn't realize it prior to 21. I guess the year you make this big shift, there was a playoff drought for 20 years. You guys hadn't been in the playoff, so clearly you're taking this job, and there's some challenges that come with it, I can only assume. Why was this a job for you?
I loved I wanted in the league. I wanted in the best league in the country. I believed in it. I think this location's special. We're basically part of Minneapolis, St. Paul, barely into Wisconsin. You have the ability to recruit both states. I think that was important to me. This town and campus, it won my heart right when I stepped on the campus. Just there's something about the charm of campus and this town you can't put into words. I say it's such a cool town. It's such a college town. It's all about the college here. The campus and town are kind of connected. It is just, I can't explain how beautiful the magical feel when you're here. I felt it right when I stepped on campus. the league's been a cycle. Everyone's had their run in the best league in America. Whitewater had this historical one, but lacrosse won titles in the 90s. Oshkosh won the national championship 4 or 5 years. Like, everyone's had their moments. We just, when I got the job, we've been on the bottom of the cycle, the natural cycle, and it's been a long time since we've been relevant in the league. But I learned that history, and I know it's been a cycle. I'm like, we can do it here. I knew we had a rebuild on our hands, and I was okay with that. Again, I'd been handed a good baseball team. I'd been handed a good football team. I went and helped on a good football team at Butler. I was excited about the challenge of kind of making it my own. I was excited about being out of Indiana for the first time, and my family. We were just excited about the whole opportunity and thought we could do it. They were talking about this new building I'm now sitting in, that I knew that could be a special thing. We finally got the thing done in 2018 and it became, went from the worst stuff in the league to probably one of the top 5 buildings in the country in Division III sports. I just put all this together and I said, this feels like this is the one. I really believe in it. It just took longer than anybody thought. The rebuild became a restart. It was a little worse than I thought in every nook and cranny of the program. It wasn't just talent. It was numbers. It was culture. It was recruiting relation. It was all a little more of a disaster than I thought.
Absolutely. Now, when I kind of think about the math of the 20-year drought of playoffs, and that puts about 10 years under your tutelage. And, obviously in a profession with so much turbulence and transition and, hiring and firing, just to put it bluntly, what was the importance of the administration and however that shaped out to just keep you around and let you keep building on this thing?
I joke that I should have been fired twice probably in the job here. We had the 0-10 season in year 3, but here's what I think happened. Crystal Lanning was the assistant AD that hired me. She was the head of the hiring committee that got me on. She was also an athletic trainer at the time, and she did football. She was there with us in the everyday grind. We call it the mud here. She was in the mud with us. She saw what we were doing. The results on the scoreboard isn't what anybody wanted, but she saw firsthand the culture we were building, how we handled ourselves, what kind of character we were building with these teams. And again, I know that's coach cliche stuff, but we were truly doing that and building some foundational culture here. She saw it. Then she became the full-time AD. And it was, I think, really important that she was a part of that everyday life with us. She's been with, we've been hip to hip the whole time on the vision of this culture. And I think because she was at the ground level with us, I think it's been a big deal of why everybody's kind of hung in there. I think too, there's something to be said for being a good person. I'm not holier than thou. I'm not the best person in the world, but we're good guys and we're nice people. We talk about, we don't have many rules on our team, but one of them is be nice. Just be nice. It's not that hard to be nice. God dang. Be a good person. Everybody wants a reason to love football in America, man. Give it to them. Make sure that you're a good person in your class. Make sure the community member sees you treat them right and they love football. Give everybody the reason they want to love football. And I think it went a long way. We're good people and we're nice people and we're doing it the right way. Our kids were, behaving. Yeah, you put your livelihood in the hands of 118 to 22-year-olds, you're going to have some interesting moments. But 99% of the time, our guys are doing things right. I think people are respecting that.
Absolutely. Now, you kind of joked about the 2 times you maybe should have been fired in year 3, where you're hoping that program is kind of showing that upward trajectory. You run into an 0-10 season, and my brother's a head high school football coach here in Texas, and I bring this up on the podcast a lot. When he got the job for the first time, he talked about that door closing in that office you're sitting in for the first time and how lonely it can be some of those times, and especially after some of these losses and the string of losses are, all the different stuff that can happen. What was kind of the takeaway from that year 3, 0-10, when that door closed and you're sitting there after that season? What was your takeaways to kind of help you moving forward?
I'd be lying if I didn't. It was a dark time. I think I've appreciated this championship so much because I've been so far on the other side. Coach Wisting, my defensive partner, has been with me the entire time. It was my first phone call when I got the job. And I say him and I have been to football hell and back. Those were hard nights and long years and again, wondering if they were going to let us go, wondering if we had made a mistake, wondering if we really should be here. But every time, just kind of get myself up and dust myself off and say, let's stay committed. I knew I could feel the recruiting happening a little bit, even in those tough years. I felt like we were making some noise. And I knew we were building special culture because it's easy for a culture to collapse when you're having such a losing season.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening. Every time I was in the darkest moment of my professional career, our guys were ready to keep working hard. And it's like, they kept pushing me a little bit because their needles were still pushing. They were still ready to grind and get after it. And it kept motivating me to get my butt back up and work my butt off for them. They probably motivated me out of the darkest times of my professional career. I've said it over and over. Those guys that weren't getting the results on the scoreboard, they were pushing the needle of this culture well before I even understood they were. They were probably getting me out of the start spot. If you watch the game, that's why I keep saying, I think that's why I had so much emotion after the game. I couldn't keep it together. I was like a little baby crying everywhere. I think it was all those dark nights and knowing that players that played for me that never got to experience this championship, they were a big part of this because they kept pushing this culture. And I really believe that. I think it's where a lot of the emotion comes from.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask this question. This is philosophical. There's no right answer or wrong answer to this. Do you win this championship without some of those hardships there early on? Like, you show up in 21 instead, you bounced around other places and all of a sudden you show up in 21, the turnaround's there, and you win the championship. Or do you think this was a big part of you, leading this team to this championship, is kind of having these dark days right there in that building?
I sure think it helped.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it helped shape me a little bit. It shut, again, like a great sailor isn't created in a calm sea, right? Like, I stole that one. And there's plenty of those out there like that. But I think not just me personally, but our other coaches, our players, our culture, our whole extended football family. I think it hardened our knuckles a little bit for sure. Those dark moments.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, kind of getting back to what you were talking about earlier with you guys do things a little bit differently there. At what point did this become your mindset at River Falls, and what was the start point? And then let's talk a little bit more about that major change point, maybe with the hiring of Coach Matheson. I don't know if that's what you will pinpoint it at, but what was the big change?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, Coach Wissing, he's been with me the whole time. He actually played offensive line for me at DePaul. He was my O-line coach when I was the head coach there. When I went to Butler, he went to be the offensive coordinator at Swanee in Tennessee, Division III. When I got the job here, like I said, first phone call, he's my offensive coordinator the whole time. Coach Matheson, we hired as a young wide receiver coach. He was a student coach in Minnesota, was a GA at Southwest Minnesota State. We hired him in one of our, restricted earnings spots and paid him a few $1,000 to get him as a wide receiver coach. And then we hit COVID, and our defensive staff, Rocky Larson was my defense coordinator. He became the head coach at Mayville State.
Yeah.
And some of that defensive group went with him, and again, so happy for him, and it was cool. But it was a interesting moment there right during the beginning of COVID. We had some decisions to make. In 19, when Coach Wissing was still the OC and Matheson was the wide receiver coach and I'm the quarterback coach, that's the three full-time guys. We were starting to dabble in the tempo a little bit, and I knew it's what I was kind of thinking about wanting to do. I had a little experience with it. Coach Matheson had a bunch of experience with it from Southwest Minnesota. And I needed help on defense. And Coach Wissing, he's just the best coach I've ever been around. I trust him more than anybody else in this game. He never coached a down of defense in his life. And I said, I need you to go over there, buddy. I just trust you. I need you to fix this thing. I need you to go over there and do this. He didn't hesitate. He found his calling. This offense gets all the attention. And we're super proud of it, man. We just led all levels of college football in total offense. We're doing things no one's done in the history of college football. I love it.
Yeah.
We won this championship because of our defense. And Coach Wissing has become, I think, the best defensive coordinator in America, having never done it for a down. So we ship him the defense, and he, again, all he does is become the best one in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Matt and I put our heads together and we said, let's stop dabbling. Let's do this wholeheartedly. Fastest team in the world. go grab not some of the advantages of going fast. We're going to grab every advantage of going faster than anybody that's ever done this before. And that just became the goal. He kind of took his systems. I took my systems, and we just kind of mushed it together, and we create our own system from scratch, and gave it this, cool little name, Top Gun offense. I'm sure plenty of people like to make fun of it. We knew it was going to get made fun of. We knew it was a little goofy, but we're like, this could work a little bit if we get this going. And, hopefully no one, like, copyright lawyers are watching this, but it just worked for us.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like, Coach Wisting probably being a part of that offensive staff, and this thing works offensively the most probably because of him. He's so into it. Our defensive coordinator is so into us doing it like this. It's probably why it works. I say you can't make it an offensive decision and truly be a great tempo team. It has to be a program decision. And what I've learned, because it firsthand happened, is the defensive coordinator buy-in is probably the most important thing to having successful offense. And we have it. He helped us create some of it.
Right.
So it really worked.
Oh man, that's an awesome story, because I really didn't know how everything kind of laid out and whose role was which, and I certainly didn't know that that the DC was the former OC there. And so if you could hook us up with him for a podcast, I think that would be a heck of a story on how he,
it's a good story.
Learn to be good at that. Now, I just out of curiosity, so I'm going to tell a story real quick. Everybody's here to listen to you, not to me, but I do want to share a story, which I've shared on the podcast before. 2012, I'm at ULM. We play Baylor on national television. This is Art Briles era, post RG3. He had just won the Heisman. Played him at home. It was a close game. I'm at ULM, so we're not supposed to compete with these guys. It was a heck of a game, right? We come back the following year, and we're like, we're going to get with these guys. And, man, they had the receivers outside the numbers. I don't know if I'm assuming if you looked at tempo that you delve into some of that Baylor stuff at that time. Man, but the back would run the ball and get knocked out of bounds, and he would sprint the ball in and hand it to the guy that's marking the ball on the hash, not to the ref on the side. It was all these very, very intricate details and how fast they could go, and they end up, they could have literally scored 100 points on us that game. And it was one of those games you sat back and we're like, we're not going to watch ourselves on offense. We're going to watch Baylor on offense and see what we can do. And so we kind of dove into some tempo stuff, the extended split stuff. But we made the cardinal mistake that you mentioned, is we stuck our toe in the water. We didn't dive in. But anyways, when you guys were saying, hey, we're making this transition to tempo, like where did you go to kind of get, maybe that fine point of handling that ball to the guy on the hash? Like, what would you do to make sure that you guys had covered all your bases to be the fast, to be the most explosive?
Coach Mathison's experience at Southwest Minnesota is probably where we got the majority of it. They were doing some of this, and so some of the mechanics of it. Actually, at DePaul University, we were doing it a little bit my last couple of years, and no one was doing it like we're doing it now.
Yeah.
But some of the ball mechanics, like you mentioned, giving the ball back to the referee. Like, page 1 of our playbook is the mechanics of getting the ball back to the ref correctly. Right. There's a whole, I don't want to give away all the sauce, but
please don't. Yeah.
there's a system in place depending on where it goes out and who has. We talk, like, we joke, but it's true. Like, these umpires, a lot of them are like these out of shape dudes that can never catch. Like, you got to know at a time. We'll be like, ooh, it's an umpire you can throw it to. It's one you got to hand it to. It's one that can't run worth a damn. It's one that can't. Like, there's a whole system in place. It's page 1 of the playbook. That's the kind of the education a little bit for the kids and even new coaches is the mechanics and logistics of running the offense are more important than the X's and O's in our mind. Which, people roll over in their grave if you say that, these old coaches. But, like, you got to settle on the fact that you're okay with bad plays. We're not always in the perfect play. You sacrifice it in going as fast as you can. We're like, to us, like Vince Lombardi would hate this, right? But to us, we're going to get 96 more snaps that day. Who cares if we have 1 yard run into the worst front where you could run that? We don't give a damn. We're going to get 95 more at bats today. Just keep going fast, and we're going to get after these dudes. So it is a different mindset. But we sure talked to enough people that we thought were dabbling in the tempo and the best. And we we did our due diligence of talking to who we thought were the right people.
No doubt. Now, I told you when we were walking into the podcast, and I didn't know the story of your defensive coordinator and all that kind of stuff. I was saying I wanted to see how you manage the whole deal, because that's a thing that legit happens. You go out there and you play in the type of offense that can be off the field in 14 clock seconds. If you're going fast, you can be off that field pretty damn fast. From a defensive standpoint, how do y'all communicate that with the team and just make sure they understand, like, hey, just as fast as we can put up 14 points, we can have 2, 3 and outs, or 4 and outs, I guess, for you guys. How do you discuss that internally and just make sure everybody's good with that philosophy?
You say just that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what could happen, man. We know we're rolling the dice. We know we're not playing ball control offense. We know we're not doing it like your uncle's college football team did. You might be right back out there. We have a ton of pride in it. We play more people. That's what I said. When it became a program decision, we think different. We train different. We practice different. We play more people rotationally because of it. And there's some buy-in with your culture there too, where the more guys that have on-field roles on Saturday, I think it's good for culture.
No
Nobody plays more people than we do because of the style of play on both sides. You said it. It affects your defense too. So it's just this full buy-in. This is what we are. And I think too, part of the secret is when you're leading the country in almost every offensive category, your defense gets pretty on board. Mm-hmm. And then they become this mindset of, dude, all we got to do is get the damn ball back. We led the country in takeaways. You take the number one offense in America and you pair it with the defense that led the country in takeaways.
That's sick.
Pretty good ingredient. But those guys just like, all we got to do is get it back, man. Yeah. And so if you do a couple 3 and out, which we did in the title game, there's never panic. They know it's a part of what happened.
Yeah.
They trust the offense is going to score at some point. So there's never panic with it.
I'm curious. You were talking about that. I believe it's a national championship game where you're talking about this good team you're playing and just how aggressive you guys were, made them uncomfortable even if you weren't converting. And as you were saying that, we played Eastern New Mexico when I was at Texas A&M Commerce, and man, they had these sirens going and they threw the ball every single down. They blitzed every single play, and it was just like, we don't care if we win or lose. It's going to be an experience when you played us. Like, they never said that, but that's kind of what I felt when you watched the film. Obviously you guys were able to have the success, win the national championship, but do you feel like when people play you, that's a little bit of like, man, that was, the opponent's looking at you like they're taking the ball away, they're getting off, 10 snaps, a minute, all that kind of stuff. Like, isn't it an experience to play you guys?
I'd like to think that. I hope it's like that. Yeah, not in a cocky, arrogant way, but that's kind of part of what we're trying to do is put the pressure on a team before we even play them. Similar to what I said I didn't want to happen with us. You play a team and good.
Yeah.
I think part of it too is we're trained. And again, this is going to come out disrespectful, and it's not. Like, we played the North Central game 3, 4, 5 times. Or you play Whitewater and La Crosse and Platteville, St. John's in playoffs, Johns Hopkins, Wheaton. Those teams are so freaking good. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like we played that game. Now, again, no one's done what North Central has done. I'm not taking that away, but we'd push this brand and this tempo program onto teams that a lot of people don't like to do that to because of how good they are. We've kind of done it. So, yeah, I'd like to think people are like, okay, here we go with this thing. Yeah. There's sure advantage for us the first time we play a team.
No doubt.
It's like, I bet North Central's dying to play. They probably want a piece of us again right now because now you can't simulate us in practice. It's hard to do. Right. Now they've got a taste of it. Their coaches sort of can surely plan for it better. We always think we have a bigger advantage the first time we play a team.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I could sit here and do this for another hour and just poking, trying to ask questions on all this cool stuff you guys are doing there. Not just offensively, but obviously defensively and within the program. But I just kind of want to leave it with this question. Just looking back on your journey from, quarterback at DePaul, as you said, it not too good guy that just shows up, trying to spin the ball around a little bit, to national championship head coach, 0-10 seasons, coaching baseball, line and fields, stand up all night, calling recruits in both sports, stopping Butler. In an amazing year. I mean, you've had a career that many dream of already, and I'm just looking at you. You look relatively young still, like you got a few decades left in the tank. In this journey so far, what would you say? Like, what would you say about your journey?
Overwhelming support from people. I can't believe. Probably like shout out to my wife. Good Lord, we have 4 kids, and you said it. Like, this is not a normal lifestyle.
Yeah.
We don't know any different. My kids don't know any different, so it's fine. But like, you miss stuff. You're in the office all the time. We've made it work here. Like, it's very rare there's not a kid in here. One of my the kids come in, they hang out. Shit. My 7th grader thinks all his best friends are our guys on the team. He'll come in. I don't even know where he is for 2 hours. He's playing basketball with players. And my 6-year-old, we had a little COVID accident here. So I have a sophomore in college and a sophomore in high school, a 7th grade boy, and then we have a little 6-year-old. But our little curveball in life. He'll come in and be gone for an hour. I'm like, where is he? He's playing ping pong with the guys in the locker room.
That's huge.
We've made it work. But I think a shout out to my family to make this lifestyle work. Again, I've created a culture here with our staff. We don't function like normal staff. A lot of it is very offense, defense split. It's everyone's in their own little office. We're all together all the time. We've set up an office like that outside of this room right here. Your family is always welcome. We joke we're a half daddy daycare, half football staff. We're always got kids running around the office.
I love it.
They're all kind of our kids. We all take care of them. Hell, my assistants have to run some of my kids to practice and stuff when I'm stuck doing things. But anyway, so shout out to my family, but overwhelming support from them. I don't know. I'm blessed. I've been around a lot of good people.
Yeah.
I've hired good. I'll hired well. My mom's going to be mad at me for that one. Hired well, not hired good. I've hired well. I've hired good people. If I give advice to people that are in a position to get to hire the person first. And I know that sounds super cliche, but I've got such good guys that you can make everything else work. We've all been on staff. The dynamic's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. There's nothing worse and more miserable than a football staff that's not good.
No doubt.
And doesn't jive. And doesn't matter how good a coach as you are and how much you know. If it doesn't work from a staff dynamic standpoint, it doesn't work. I'm determined to make sure we have a great staff culture. So I always hire the person. I want the good dude first. I've been blessed with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No doubt about it. I mean, when you talk about hiring a person first, I keep thinking about your offensive coordinator switch to the DC, and it didn't matter what he knew from a defensive standpoint.
I owe him everything.
Yeah.
I owe him everything. Yeah, Jake Wisting, I keep saying. Joe Matheson's probably the hottest young coach in the country, our offensive coordinator. Jake Wisting's the best football coach I've ever been around. He's always the smartest guy in the room. I trust him more than anybody in the world. It's been a fun run with those guys.
No doubt. Well, I'll tell you what, before I let you go, I know I said I was going to let you go there. It means a lot to me as somebody that spent some time in the profession. Now I get to sit in this seat and, we get to define what success looks like, and it's oftentimes sitting up there guarding our desk and, watching film, watching third and short for the 40th time that week to make sure that we're ready. And just to hear you, a national championship winning coach, put an emphasis on family, put an emphasis on, staff and being connected and relationships and having good people and having one of your main core rules is just be nice. I mean, that means a lot. That means a lot. That's important for the game. I think it's important for our profession. Obviously we got tons of guys that listen from all levels, and you got guys getting burnt from both ends right now, just in regards to the workload with the recruiting and the transfer portal, NIL. And it's just really awesome to see a program having success, winning a national championship, and still keeping this thing fun and still keeping family first. So I appreciate you sharing that. It means a lot to me. I
appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it's like I've said it a few times in these interviews. It's like I'm not gonna pretend this is above our faith or our family or education, but like, what's better than college football, man? It's the best. And I don't want to get on my pulpit and start giving the sermon here, but like, we got to fix our game at the highest level. We're going to lose it as we know it. And I don't want to go down the road here being controversial, but the product we're watching on TV with the highest level has never been better. Like, how great's the damn football been on Saturdays on TV this year? It's been the best.
Been awesome, yeah.
Right underneath the layer, we got a disaster on our hands that we got to fix. Everyone knows it's a problem. Like, you can't say, look a single person in the eye that's a coach, a player, an administrator, a person that works at the NCAA, a member of the AFCA. No one can sit there and say, oh, it's fine. We got a disaster. We got to fix the portal NIL thing in a hurry. And I'm not trashing the whole thing, but I'm saying if we don't fix it in a hurry, we're going to lose our game as we know it, if we haven't already. And it's just that. There's nothing better than college football, man. Like, we all know there's these problems. Let's fix this sucker. And I know there's legality and things that not all of us understand going on, but like, no one can say that this is fine. We got to fix this thing. We're gonna lose this sucker, and it's starting to filter into our level. I thought we were deflected from it. We're not anymore, and I just don't want to lose this thing. It's the best thing going, and some of the amateurism is why it's so special. So, again, I know we've probably crossed the line of fully going back, but like, we got to regulate this thing so we don't lose our game as we know it. It is the best.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, that's a good place to leave it there. Man, I've appreciated this time, learned a lot. I tell you right now, I'm going to be looking at you guys' schedule. I'm going to try to make a game at the very least. I'm going to watch as many as I can, because I have not sat down and watched you guys just get busy on the turf, man, on offense and defense, and I assume only on special teams to go win a natty. You got to be, doing it on all three phases. So you made a new fan, and super proud of you and excited to have you representing our profession, man. That means a lot.
I appreciate it. Thanks for all you're doing, man. This is awesome.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Talk soon.
When communication counts, trust the headsets trusted by the best. From high schools to the biggest college programs, CoachComm keeps coaches connected and teams prepared to win. Learn more at CoachComm.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset, presented by CoachComm. If you'd like to learn more about this week's episode, head over to AFCA.com. There, you can access every episode and find corresponding show notes. Remember, you can catch every episode of Inside the Headset presented by CoachComm on wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. While you're there, we love for you to take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Your feedback helps us improve and grow. Keep up with the latest news by following us on social media. Connect with us at Inside the Headset, and remember to tag us when you share your favorite episodes. For more updates on all things AFCA, be sure to follow the @WeAreAFCA social media accounts. If you're not a part of the AFCA community yet, visit AFCA.com to join thousands of NFL, college, and high school coaches nationwide and across the globe. Elevate your coaching game with an AFCA membership. You'll gain exclusive access to the annual AFCA convention, magazine, digital library, and AFCA Insider email. Stay up to date with the latest stories and news on the AFCA website. More than just a convention, the AFCA offers continuous education, guidance, networking, and more. Celebrate the past and shape the future with the AFCA. It's about fostering exceptional coaches who create outstanding teams and even better individuals. Invest in your skills and make a lasting impact today by engaging with the AFCA. Your journey starts here.